Good evening, Slough fans everywhere. Welcome to the first managerial interview. Delighted to say that joining us is Scott Davies. Scott, first question I guess I've got to ask you, how difficult and different has it been for you as a manager during the summer compared to when you were a player and you're waiting for bakes or unders to say yes or no, and now you've
Yeah,
got to do those phone calls?
yeah, it's chaotic, but I guess I knew what I was signing up for. Has it been worse than I imagined? Yeah, probably. There's been a lot more phone calls, a lot more work, a lot more meeting players, a lot more people have got my number that I didn't realise, whether that's agents, managers, players, and then obviously sorting out the squad from last season as well. A long time spent speaking to players about where we see them in part of our plans. But then obviously the signings that we've made, we did them pretty early doors. Got them out of the way, which was good. And then I was able to go and afford a week away, which was quite nice, where I kind of put my feet up. Managed to sign Monash, stood on my balcony in Greece. But that's what you have to do, I guess. And I didn't want to miss out on a good player. So you have to make those sacrifices. And for the players that we've got in at the moment, the ones we've retained, and a couple more that we've got on our list who we'll hope to try and look to bring in on loan. I'm really happy with the shape of the squad.
Good. Let's start with your managerial appointments because obviously Lee Togwell left at the end of last season. Big loss. Everyone liked him. Training sessions were good. No, the players enjoyed it. Um, what did you do to make sure? Because I know you didn't rush to get a coach in, but what were your key elements that you wanted?
Experience of the league was massive. I think we needed someone to fit into the environment, which I talk about a lot. I harp on a lot about the environment, and we can't have any idiots in the group, and that goes from staff all the way through to players. And I'm very, very keen not to sort of break the environment. One of my ex-managers said to me a few weeks ago, he said, it's so difficult to build an environment, but it's so easy to break it by bringing in the wrong person. And from what I believe that we've brought in so far, on both sides of the fence with management and staff, I think they're the right people. Obviously, Chris was an appointment that took a little bit of time. We did ponder over different decisions, but then when Chris became available to talk to, I should say, it was a very easy conversation. I actually told him to sort of go away and have a think about it, and straight away he committed, which is great because it shows that he wants to be on board. So he'll bring in obviously value, having been at St Albans, which is massive for us. He knows the league, knows a lot of players. He knows a lot about our players already as well, from obviously doing his research and his due diligence and things like that. And then moving on to sort of Jeff, someone that I can just trust with my life. So I think it's so important that you surround yourself with good people, and he's certainly that. So he'll come in, he'll sort of do the warm-ups, look after the subs on a match day, make sure they're sort of keeping up to the performance levels in which they need to with their fitness. It's probably something that we've lacked a little bit last season. Once the games were over, we kind of made our way into the changing room, but we want to make sure the lads that haven't played are in peak condition for when they're called upon. And then not only that, he'll look at the performance side with sort of like the stats fests and the ice baths of how we can get those extra 5-10% out of us, which is vitally important across the season because we're not going to have a huge squad, and we will have to rely on the numbers that we've got. But then having said that, with A23 coming back in now, we've obviously got the access to utilise the young players in there. Obviously, the likes of Gabe that have come through, people like Imran, Mattel, Alfonso. There's some really good players that have come through in the last few years, and hopefully we can find the next 2 or 3 and put them on the pathway at this football club. So, yeah, everything's taken time. Am I happy with what we've got in the building? Absolutely. Obviously, the players that we've had and we've obviously brought into the building, and I don't want to miss out people like Yella, massive for this football club and for me. I couldn't have done last season without him. People like Chico, heads up the medical department. Alex Wines, obviously with the goalkeeping coach.
Probably someone that people have seen but don't know who he is.
Yeah, Wines is a great guy, really good guy. He's heavily invested in what we're doing. He often watches the opposition of who we're playing and sees how they might affect the keeper, whether they put long balls into the box, whether they put crosses in, long throws, things like that. So he often takes time out to go and watch the opposition of who we're playing so we can go and work on stuff with the keeper. And he's not the loudest of characters, just comes in, gets on with his job. So he's perfect for us because there's no problems with him at all. Complete professional, great guy as well. So happy to keep people like that. Chico, yeah, again, he's been here for a few years now, and very lucky to have someone like Chico as well. Very clued up in the medical department. Mark, the kit man, So yeah, we've got the team of sort of the playing staff on a Saturday sorted now. So yeah, really excited. Can't wait for next Tuesday to get going. I miss the boys, so I want to get them back in. So hence why I'm down here tonight as an optional session on for some of the boys if they wanted to come and stretch their legs. We did it last week as well because I saw other clubs going back, got a little bit jealous and thought, do you know what, can I get the boys back in just to get them, see them stretch their legs, give them an opportunity to kick a ball around, and there's been a good turnout. So yeah, fingers crossed they'll be ready.
So player acquisitions, I mean, you've already kind of spoken about the fact that you've got a young and hungry squad. I guess everyone's going to want to know is a goalkeeper, because obviously Dennis came in last season and you gave him a joint player of the season, because I think if anyone else had watched it, it was a tough decision for you to let Reece go, but Will was probably one of the best goalkeepers at this level.
Yeah, Reece was a very, very difficult one, and it really did tug on my heartstrings. People that know what I'm like, I don't like letting people down, but I just felt it was right. I think having played in sort of like the back three or back four at times, just wanted a bit more of a voice behind us. Nothing apart from that. I think Reece's shot stopping and what else he brought to the table was excellent, and he had a lot of work to do. And I know there was a lot of question marks about bringing Will in, but I think I got that one right. I'll be honest with you, I thought he was exceptional. And the lads have said he did make a massive difference. And that doesn't mean that Reece is a bad keeper, because he's certainly not, and he's got a bright future. But looking back on it, we need to find someone that could be as good as Will Dennis, because it gave us that reassurance at the back. I believe that if we hadn't made that decision, it could have been a lot more of a tricky end to the season. I think it could have been different. So we've got a lot of people on our radar. We've been offered keepers from Premier League clubs, Championship clubs, League One clubs, and we'll be picking the right one hopefully over the course of pre-season. Whether that's them coming in, training, having a look at them, playing in matches. So I'm not going to rush into it, because that would be naive of me, it would be stupid of me, but it's definitely something that's taken up a lot of my time in terms of conversations, doing my research around people at the club that might be playing with them. I'm quite fortunate that 7 of the clubs that we've spoken to, I know 6 players at each of the clubs, where I can actually ring them and ask them and say, right, what's this lad like? And they've given me honest assessments. A couple of them I've crossed off the list, because that's the way that football works. So yeah, we've probably got 5 to choose from that I'm taking seriously. So we'll definitely get one over the line in pre-season, but hopefully it'll be the right one.
And any additional players coming in that you've got, or you said you're picking up from the A23, but you've still got your eye on a couple to come in before?
Yeah, it would be stupid of me again not to. Obviously for us, we want to build the best team that we can within the budget that we've got. Players have obviously agreed to sign for the football club, but I know what football's like. People haven't signed papers as of yet. They'll be doing so in the next week, but we need to make sure that if we can make improvements over the course of pre-season, or if there's extra funds available, that we think players will come in and improve our squad. I've got quite good dialogue at the moment with the board and the owners that if we do find someone, I think that they'll be able to maybe support me in that sort of field, which is great. But yeah, well, I think we're quite settled. I think we maybe are one short of a striker, maybe one more, because people like to have 4 in a squad, which I'd like to have. Elliot Benyon will be coming back in pre-season, which is good news. Elliot was one that was a difficult one, really, really tricky one, because obviously he's getting as old as I am, similar age to me, and said to Elliot he might not play as often as he would like, so see what's out there maybe at this level, the level below. But he was adamant that he wanted to come back. He absolutely loves his football club. He said he's built a good rapport with the fans, and I think the last 3 or 4 months of the season, I thought he was absolutely brilliant. And not only that, he's worth his weight in gold in the changing room. He played a game against Hemel towards the end of the season where he came on at half time, and he was just a role model for the young players. Didn't moan about being on the bench, came on at half time, and I thought he was the best player on the pitch. And he just goes about his business quietly. So Elliot will be back in, which is good news, but I still think we maybe need one more, but we'll just see what happens over the course of pre-season.
And you've got the loan market as well, because you had people like George come in and done really well, so you've got that option.
Yeah, exactly that. I think the loan market last year, I don't want to say that we were lucky, because we got offered tens and tens of players and we certainly didn't take them all. I do my research and speak to other managers, speak to other players about these players that are coming in, and you look at the likes of Temi, George Alexander. I know that they were two of the favourites out on the pitch. Will Dennis in the goal. I think we were extremely fortunate. Luca Woodhouse came in and done really well. I don't want to miss anyone out here, but yeah, we had some great loanees last year that really did buy into what we were doing, and they were a massive part of us staying in the division. So if there are any loans that come up, we'll definitely be looking to maybe execute one or two, but right now clubs in the professional game don't know where they're at, so we have to sit and hold tight and wait. People keep saying to me all the time, getting messages on social media, any news of a goalie, any news of a striker, are you going to get some loans? They're not even back in for pre-season yet, so just need to sit and hold tight with that one.
Okay, so I guess one of the questions is, last season you changed kind of the style, put your own kind of style on it. You did say before, once you get to January the 1st, that's your kind of team. Is that going to be the same kind of style that you're going to look at, pacey?
Yeah, I think for me is that when I look at the teams, I've done a lot of research over the last few years of the teams that have been successful. They've been high energy, they've been good with the ball, filled with power and pace. And I think we've missed out on a lot of power and pace in the last few years. I think from the stats fest, I was in the top 3, so that shows you how slow some of the squad are. But no, I just think it's an essential and necessity in football now that you need to be able to run. You need to be able to run beyond your marker. You need to be able to go from one end of the pitch to the other as quickly as possible. Football and the tempo has increased, as I've found in the last few years, especially on our pitch. I think at times when it's a little bit zippy, the pace of the game can catch you out. So we want to build a team of athletes that are young, hungry, got the desire not to be at Slough for the next 10 years. And that's me being probably unselfish, because you have to look further than that. We want to develop players that do the best that they can for us, that give us success, that maybe want to kick on. If you've got someone that's signing for the football club and wants to be here for the next 10 years, then they're probably not our type of player, because we want people to go and kick on. That's what everyone wants to do in life. They want to succeed, but we want to help them on their merry way. And I think that we've got the right people around them to do that. Being a young manager seems to be quite attractive for some of these players now. I don't know why, but they always seem to say that I quite like the idea of playing for a young manager. And then not only that, they see the people that we're signing, so that definitely helps. Getting sort of, in my opinion, the better players from step 3 and getting them across the line to come and join this football club has been a massive coup. So yeah, I'm excited, Aid. I'm really excited. People keep tweeting and saying different bits and pieces about expectations and Slough and this, that and the other, and they're very different. So I've seen some people saying about the playoffs, I've seen some people predicting that we'll finish 23rd. All I want us to do is be competitive, build a team that the club are proud to watch, and I think we'll do that. We've not got any players that will shirk away from hard work, and I think that knowing the Rebel Army behind the goal and down the sides of the pitch, all they want to see is effort. They know that we're going to lose games, they know that we're going to win games, but as long as we put up a fight, then I'll be more than happy.
Just going back to the players that you're bringing in and the hungry, the pace, is that one of the reasons why you brought in Chris Winton as a coach, because that's kind of the players that he's had at St Albans, at Kings Langley?
It's been a massive catch for some of the players in the last week that I've spoken to. So obviously he's been at St Albans for 3 years, got good contacts there. All of a sudden, I've had players that have played under him at different clubs now that have moved on, but knowing Chris and knowing his sessions, what they're like, they said he's a really, really good coach. I'd love to work with him again. So you've also got that as well, which is a massive attraction. Yella's been really helpful as well this summer, speaking to players. He got Monash across the line for us, having known him. So I think it's a massive joint effort. But the way that football's sort of transforming now, you have to be able to run. And I look at the people that we've brought in, they all want to run. They're quick with the ball, they're quick without it. And I said in an interview the other day that I've tried to build a team that I wouldn't want to play against. There's some teams that I've played against last year and you feel quite comfortable in games because you've not got people running beyond you and everything's in front of you, but we want players that are gonna run their socks off. And from the recruitment side of things, I'm delighted to get the ones in that we have, but I'm certainly not getting carried away. I've seen some crazy tweets this week about the playoffs and things like that. We want to be competitive. I think our aim is to be in and around the playoffs or in and around mid-table at Christmas time, have a good start to the season, not be looking over our shoulder. I think that's the worst thing that happened last year, constantly looking over his shoulder. and it became a mental drain. Every single day I'd sit there and stare at the league table and didn't like it at all. So hopefully we can start fast, we can start quick. And the other thing is that the lads are going to get fit in pre-season. I think over the last few years, maybe we could have trained a little bit harder and take the lads to breaking point at times, because we have to do it. We've not started well over the last few years. I've looked at the results, and I always think that for the first month of the season, you could maybe win the game by being the fittest team. When it gets to 75 minutes and it's boiling hot, I think Havant last year, they were still running and we were tired. So I look at that, it's played on my mind. Do we need to get a little bit fitter? Possibly. And that might sound crazy yet again, because people always know Slough for being hard working and being a fit side, but I think we gain our fitness over the course of a season rather than get it on day one of the season, where we can maybe be a little bit more fit.
So your first summer as a manager, how did you choose the friendlies? Because I'm sure that everyone would have said, oh, you know, you've played for this club, you played for that club, why haven't you brought any of those down? Have you chosen a kind of setting of friendlies to test the players and try and get some people in as well?
Yeah, so the first game against Burnham will be, I want to call it a Slough 11. We've got a group of 13, 15 trialists that we want to have a look at, and we'll mix in a few of our own boys as well that might be away for pre-season for a week or two here and there. But this has been a hand-picked group of players that have been playing maybe at step 2, step 3 and step 4 that I've seen play before, that I really think could kick on and play at our level. So that will be that fixture, and then moving on to the other ones, we tried to pick teams that we've maybe not played against so much. Wingate and Finchley was a friend of mine, is director of football. Banbury United, my friend was manager. He's since resigned, but then my other friend has gone in there, so which is good. We tried to mix it up a little bit. Obviously, the Brentford B friendly as well was because of Edon. That was written into the sort of agreement when he left, that we would have a friendly against him. Charlton under 23s, my friend is manager there, so it's about who you know, I guess. We did speak to Reading, your Wickhams, teams like that are local. A lot of them don't want to play on 3G, which is bizarre. Does make me laugh, because when I was full-time at Reading and Wickham, when it's snowing in the winter, the first thing you do is go and train on the 3G. But listen, we're not going to get precious about that, is what it is. If they'd rather not play us, then absolutely fine. We'll make sure that we get teams down here that are competitive. Bracknell, great friendly, local one.
Obviously, it's almost Bracknell versus Bracknell, isn't it?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you shouldn't say that age, because Clergy will get annoyed with me. But yeah, no, it's one of those ones where we've not played against some of the teams that we've obviously picked. Risborough Rangers, random one that my friend's manager there, and they helped us out last year with a couple of dual registrations, and we helped them out as well. So to get players some fitness, like Louis Walsh, like James Dobson. I played a game when I came back from holiday, so I always think that if you scratch their back, they'll scratch yours, kind of thing. It's trying to help people out, keep people on the right side, and it was nice to be able to get one against them. So they're carefully selected for sure. We've got some what people would call easier games, and some slightly tougher ones, but pre-season there's never any easy games. It's usually 30 degrees, the lads are getting their fitness up, so it's something that we need to obviously look at, but we're going to have a squad to use. And I think what we also can do as well is maybe blood some of the EDS boys in, the elite development squad that are going to come here with the A23 Academy, and have a look at them as well, because some of them I don't believe will be that far off. I've seen a lot of them play already last year when they're over at Beaconsfield, so I'm not going in totally blind with them. I know a lot about a lot of them, which is good to know. So yeah, it'd be good to get them in a first team environment and see how they fare as well.
So you've already spoken about your expectations, but come on, let's put the cards on the table. What would you ideally want? What would make you happy? I know you said stay up, but
yeah, no, I'll be honest with you, Aidan. I'm always honest. I always say that. Probably say it too much, but if we could finish in the top half, I'd be absolutely delighted. As first season as full manager, like full season, having the summer to pick who I want, I can honestly say now, hand on heart, that it's my team. I've picked it. There's not one player that will be in the squad on day one of pre-season that I wouldn't want there. So for me, it's down to me now. I realise that it falls on my head that if things aren't going well. Whereas last year we were in a transition period where there were players at the football club that I didn't want. And I can say that now, and it's quite harsh, but I've been let go before in my time. So it's never ever anything personal. You obviously look how you can try and improve the squad, and we've tried to do that in summer. But realistically, could we be in the top half? I'd love that. I think it would be successful. But then you look at the top half and you think, if you're languishing, I don't know, in 11th or 12th place, for example, you're only ever 2 or 3 wins away from getting into the playoffs. So I want to be on the coattails. I think that's where we're aimed to be. When we've spoken to players this summer, they've asked about our expectations and ambitions, and I've not said to one player, listen, we're going to get in the playoffs, because that would be stupid of us to say that. But we want to be competitive in a lot more matches than what we were last year. We've done a little bit of maths as well. So we looked at the second half of the season. I think we got 31 points, whereas in the first half, I think we got 20. So if we'd have had the first half of the season like second, 62 points wouldn't have been a bad return. I think that would have seen us in 13th. So I think we can take sort of a little bit of pride and a little bit of comfort from that. And I think we've got a better squad now on day one of this pre-season than we did maybe last pre-season. But that's just my opinion. That's just my opinion. We had a great squad last year, and I feel that for maybe 3 or 4 months we let Bakes and Unders down. So, and that's coming from me as a player. We had a good squad that just didn't get results, and there was probably a few things that weren't going quite right. And people have asked me a question a lot over the last sort of 6 months: is the team's improved? Yeah, the team's improved, but I think people have upped their levels. I don't think for the first half of the season, myself included, I don't think we were playing anywhere near well enough, and we let a lot of people down. So yeah, this season, if it is that we're not getting the results, listen, it's down to me. So I have no problem with that. I just want the lads to come here, enjoy it, work hard, listen to what we say, and hopefully they will, and I know they will. So yeah, I'm really excited, really excited.
So last question. When you did take over and you started on that kind of run, we had a lot of positivity. You saw the last 4 home games of the season averaging 1,000. So it shows that it can be done. Have you got kind of like something that you can say to fans out there and say, look, you know, as a player, you know, having your support, having 1,000 here is so much different to having 500, and as a manager?
Yeah, Taunton on a cold Tuesday night in December, I think it was 399, it popped up on the board. Remember it like it was yesterday. And at that moment in time, I honestly thought the club's falling to pieces. I thought I've let the club down. We've not got a result in 4 or 5 games, and people didn't want to come and watch us. Bakes and Unders had left, who had obviously been a massive part of this club for 9.5 years. And I kind of thought at that time that people were sort of dwindling away. And then lo and behold, obviously comes end of December, January, results start getting back to what the club expect. Attendances start increasing. And then the last 4 games were just brilliant. Turning up on a Saturday, I was walking out with Viella, who had been at Barton at Step 4 earlier on in the season. And I think they were getting sort of 60, 70 fans. And he walked out and he was like, mate, look at this. And it just showed exactly what we're capable of. And I expect it to be like that. I really do. I think now that the club's doing so much great work in the community, including yourself, I know what you do. Obviously, the board and the owners that have come in, everyone's pulling in the right direction. So cliche yet again, when people say, oh, the fans drive you on the 12th man, they really are. They really are. Honestly, it makes a hell of a difference. And the lads comment on it as well. So it's not just me, it's not just people like yourself that say how great it is. People want to come to this football club because they've seen the crowds. The Bracknell boys, for example, when I spoke to them, one of the attractions was playing at a nice stadium, but they've seen the last 4 attendances. One of them said to me, he's like, I want to play in front of a big crowd. And was it 1,320 or something for the last game of the season? That's what we need to try and aspire to be most weeks, and I don't see why there's any reason that we can't. I think it's great now that the under 14s get free memberships as well. When I went into a school in Slough a few months ago with one of the board members, I actually asked, I said, who goes to a football match here on a Saturday? Has anyone got a season ticket? Not one person put their hand up in a school of 200 people, with the school being 2 miles away. So hopefully if we can get some of them in through the gate, it just increases everything. And then I think the hospitality as well, I think that's been a massive factor. Obviously bringing in the food vans and whatnot, try and make it a match day experience. My father-in-law's popped down to football for the first time ever. He hates football, but even he's been a couple of times now. He's had he's had a souvlaki or whatever it's called from the food van, and I think next time he had like an Indian wrap. So it just makes it a day out, and a much more enjoyable one. So hopefully we can get the crowd behind us. They're a massive part of this club. They'll be here for a lot longer than I am. You'll be here for the whole time. So, but that's how football works. They're a part of the club that can never be replaced. But obviously, what we want to try and do is make them proud. And I think they know that with me, they'll get hard work. I'll do everything I can to be successful, because I want to make a success of it. I want to be a manager, not for a one-season wonder. I want to do it for the next 5-10 years. My wife doesn't know that yet, though. So, yeah, keep that one to yourself. And then, yeah, so it's a reason for all of us to do it. Whether you're in the stand, in the dugout, onto the pitch. I think we all want to be here to make a good time of it.
Scotty, thank you so much for joining us, and best of luck for the season.
Cheers, Ed. Thanks, mate.
Cheers, mate.